it's Liz Yuille from Old Staples Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. Today is Simple Stamping Saturday, and I am using the 9 Lives stamp set, which is in the Spring Summer catalogue, and it goes with the Cat Punch, which is in the annual catalogue. It's not a bundle, but they do go together. And for the casual and avid crafter version, I have used the punch. This is my simple stamping version. The only thing I've got to finish is the envelope, which I suddenly remembered I hadn't done. So we will do the envelope live, as it were. Now, as ever with Simple Stamping Saturday, I always use note cards and envelopes for my simple stamping version. And then I do a casual version and an avid version just by using basically the same layout and just stepping up the products that I've used and the techniques that I've used just a little, just so that you can see how you can go from a more basic card, a quicker card if you like, through to something a little more complicated or that may take a little longer. And my big thing is that just because it's got more technique or that sort of thing doesn't mean that you can't go from simple to more avid, and vice versa. So if you were, I know we're past Valentine's Day now, but if you wanted to do something like this for a Valentine's Day card for people who you knew liked cats, you could do lots and lots and lots of these, even if you know every technique under the sun and are very happy to spend 2 hours making a card. This would take you a mere minute, as I will show you. But again, it's a perfectly good, acceptable card. So don't always think that just because this is Simple Stamping Saturday, it doesn't mean that a more avid or a casual crafter can't do the same project. So I will start by showing you how I've done this, and then I'll go through what I've done to step up for the other options. That's the envelope, which I will need later. So, as ever with Simple Stamping Saturday, we're not using too many supplies. I have used lots of blocks, but that's because I've got them and it speeds up the process for filming, but you could use fewer blocks. I would always recommend that a D block is a good block to have because it takes the vast majority, but not all of our stamps will go on a D block. So I would certainly say this is a good block to start with. A couple of these wouldn't go amiss, and then you can add the other ones as you go along. Our B block is also quite a useful size block because it's not too large, it's not too small, but it will do quite nicely for the smaller stamps. So, colours I'm using are Crumb Cake, which will be used for the mouse and only for the mouse, so if you don't want to use the mouse on your envelope, you don't need that. Poppy Parade and Early Espresso for the stamping that we're doing on the card. So, first things first. Note card. This is one of the very vanilla note cards. I'm actually going to take my stamp off my block to start with because the way that this stamp is cut, whoops, throw it around, the way that this stamp is cut, this piece, the tail, is separate. Now, photopolymer is brilliant stuff, I love it, but if you take it straight off your sheet and then take it and pop it down, you can end up with the tail not being in the right place. And I'm going to deliberately get that wrong for a moment and bring in a scrap of card and ink this up. Now, for simple stamping it doesn't matter, but it does matter if you're going to use the punch or indeed line up your some of your other stamps with it. So there is our cat. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. As I say, if you're doing a simple stamping, that's perfect. Nothing wrong at all. But if I bring in the punch, you will see we have a major problem because the tail is way off. And if I punch it, you will see just how way off it is. So the answer to that is, first things first, let's clean that stamp so I don't get inky. So grab I've got some chamois here that I've cut in half, which I particularly use for using with the Stamparatus because I just think it's an easier size for the Stamparatus if it's in half. So if I take my stamp off and I pop it down on my paper where it doesn't really stick, because my grid paper isn't a surface that photopolymer would generally stick to. It will relax. I can then pick up my stamp knowing that it's now going to fit into my punch, and because it fits in my punch, it will fit with all the other stamps for the cat in the set. So let me just show you that. So just stamp that down, and if I bring in my punch again, you will see, if I line it up properly, always a plan. I'm doing it cack-handed, which is not a great idea, really. I probably needed to let it relax even more, having stretched it way out of shape. So I'm going to just give it one more clean and relax, and then pop that actually into the camera so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to let that relax, and then I will come back and use it again. So I'm going to pop that upside down and start with other areas of the card while that's relaxing, because I'm not totally happy that that has relaxed fully. So as I say, this is just a tip, but I can do other bits of the card while that's relaxing. So I've got True Love Has 4 Paws. The other sentiments on the stamp set are a friend like you comes around once in 9 lives, meow, and you're the cat's meow. So there are a few other sentiments there that you can use if you're not looking for a True Love card, but I'm quite happy to use a True Love card. So I'm going to just pop this. Here's my crease. I'm going to pop it towards the crease at the bottom of the card, and there's that. Then I'm hoping that my stamp has now relaxed enough that I can pick him up and ink him up with the early espresso. And I like to kind of joggle around on the ink pad, so I know I've got very good coverage, and then just pop this towards the bottom right hand corner of my card. And there is our lovely cat. I will be coming back to that stamp again because I do want to show you some tips with the other pieces of the stamp set. So Poppy Parade and the little love hearts. You get 2 sets of love hearts. You get an inside and an outside. So inside, outside. I'm using the inside because it works better towards my casual and avid version. And all I'm doing is just building up some hearts around my cat, and I will go off the page because I think it looks better if you go off the edge of your card. Otherwise it looks a little forced. So I might do one more. Yeah. So that is basically our basic card. So really easy, really simple. Let me grab my bone folder, which inevitably I've buried. Score that nicely, or rather burnish that nicely so that it closes flat. So there's the one that I made before, and there's this one. But I do want to add to my envelope, because envelopes are very good for stamping on. I just want to add a mouse. So I've got my early espresso again, and I'm going to ink up the outline of the mouse. And I'm just going to pop him down in the bottom right hand corner. So there is my little mouse. Can you see my little mouse? Shall I bring him up a bit? Let's not do it too fast. So there's my little mouse. And then if I bring in the crumb cake, oh, my crumb cake is quite stiff. I need to get open it and close it a few more times, and also maybe get a wax crayon along, or wax candle along the run, along the bit, just here, pop some wax, that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to pop the body of my mouse into my mouse. It's a bit dark still at the moment, but it will fade down. And there you can see it's got little white ears and a crumb cake body. So really cute little mouse. I love him to bits. So let me just show you some tips for the stamping of the other versions, and then I'll go through exactly what I've done. So start with my early espresso again and my outline stamp. And will that fit? Yes, it will. Just ink that up again. So there is my cat. So perfectly good cat there. Don't need that anymore. Then I'm going to grab, and here's one I've prepared earlier, Theory of Life. This is the baby wipe technique. So all you do is take a baby wipe and some re-inkers, fold your baby wipe to make a pad, and then with your re-inkers, and I've taken Pumpkin Pie, Cajun Craze and Early Espresso, because we have a tortoiseshell cat, mustard, and they're about the right colours for a tortoiseshell. So you just take your re-inker and just pop it onto your baby wipe and just keep going with the colours until you've built up a splodge of colour. I like to make sure that they have all melded together, so you haven't got any gaps. And then all you do is take your stamp and drop it in, and because I'm doing a mottled cat, I don't mind if the colours merge together. And I also don't mind if they're a bit bubbly. I have actually used the old re-inkers, which do have a tendency to bubble if you use them on this technique. And I'm using the old ones purely because they're old. And then you just line up, and there's an eye you can just see, and actually I like to line it up that way, I don't know why I'm doing it sideways. There's an eye and an ear, and then obviously the tail, but you can just see through and just do a kind of load, aim, fire. And there is, and she's very mottled because I had it in the air for a while, but there is my mottled tortoiseshell. So baby wipe technique is great with re-inkers. You do need re-inkers in order to do it. But if we then look at the casual and avid version, so this is the casual version, I've added in the ball of wool. This is obviously on a larger card base. This is a standard A6 card. So I've added in the ball of wool, and I've done this in Poppy Parade because that's the red that I'm using. So I did the outline in full strength Poppy Parade, and then the inner I stamped off to get the more faded version, and then I just added the hearts again, added a piece of ribbon below my punched cat, which I put on dimensionals, and then I changed the True Love Has Four Paws from Poppy Parade to Early Espresso for no other reason than I wanted to do so. And then for the Avid version, I added some gold thread behind my cat, and then on the hearts, both here and up here, I've taken some of our, what do they call themselves, heart epoxy droplets, and just coloured those with the dark, lovely dark Poppy Parade blend, and that's coloured those nicely. So just a slightly different version of the same card. So if I line them up again for you, we go simple, casual, avid, and as I say, the only difference is the amount of embellishment and the amount of cardstock, really. So and obviously we've got the added technique and punch for the casual version. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would love to see any of your simple stamping projects. If you are not already a member of my Facebook community group, which is the Old Stables Crafty Hangout, please, please, please think about joining. Everyone can join, and it's whether you're a paper crafter, a sewer, a knitter, a crocheter, in which case I bow down at you. I've tried crocheting and I'm useless at it. But whatever craft you do, I would love to see you share it on there. If you don't already subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would love you to do that. I'm hoping to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of Celebration. At the point where I recorded this video, I was at about 5,930-ish. So we're there, we're getting there, we're heading in the right direction. When you order from me, please use the host code if your order is under £150, because then you get to share in the stamping rewards for the month. If your order is over £150, don't use the host code because you will get your own stamp rewards. And do remember that during Celebration, for every £45 you place in any one order, or multiple thereof, so 45, 90, etc., etc., you get to choose a Celebration item from the Celebration brochure. And we are on to our second release of Celebration, so we've got extra items, and there's details of that over on my blog. And do remember that all of the information about this project is linked in the associated blog post, which is immediately below in the description bar. Thank you very much indeed for joining me again today. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them below or send me an email and I'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you very much indeed, and have a good weekend.